My sister. The Empress. Conceived while secretly carrying on an affair with the imperial physician. When discovered, she pushed me forward. It was my elder sister who consummated with physician when atop the rockery. I merely failed to restrain her wantonness. Overnight. My reputation was utterly ruined. Yet physician when came to propose marriage, declaring he cared not for reputation and would grow old with me. I had no choice but to marry him. But soon after, my sister lost her palace intrigue and perished along with her child. The once courteous physician when transformed, beating me like a madman. I married you only to cover my affair with Ruru. She's dead. Now you'll join her. He tortured me with poison for 3 full days, only letting me draw my last breath after blood poured from all 7 orifices. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister's affair was discovered. Oh my! What's going on here? I clearly heard the sounds of physician when in a woman just now. No way they could have escaped. Someone whispered. It sounded like Her Majesty the Empress to me. That physician when really has some nerve. Could it be one of the consorts? The man's clothes were slightly disheveled, beads of sweat glistening on his forehead. The flush on his face told any observant person what had transpired. Better safe than sorry. Especially among this gathering of consorts. When Yao dared not speak, he bowed his head, his hands trembling lightly. My apologies for disturbing your peace, Your Highnesses. I shall withdraw at once. Honored Consort Rome raised a hand, a hint of amusement flickering across her face. Hold on. I stood in the corner, watching my sister the so-called Empress Yunru as she instinctively clutched the hand of the palace maid supporting her. A flicker of panic crossing her face. I curved my lips, relishing her discomfort. Several other consorts had gathered nearby. Drawn by the calm motion, Consort Rong smiled, scrutinizing Yunru from head to toe. Your Majesty the Empress. You look rather pale. Could it be that physician one and you? Yunru's expression stiffened, her tone turning cold. What did you say? It was common knowledge that the Empress and Consort Rong had never gotten along. Yet as the sovereign of the 6 palaces and the Emperor's favored consort, Yunru maintained outward peace while engaging in countless underhanded schemes behind the scenes. Consort Rong curved her lips into a smee. Lu at Yunru. Look now. I haven't even said anything yet. What I meant was, are you and physician when perhaps related? Is that why you're so flustered? The commotion drew the Emperor's attention. The crowd parted into 2 lines, instinctively making way. His imposing gaze swept over each person before settling on the bowed figure of Wen Yao. What is this? Why have so many gathered? Yunru stiffened, forcing a smile as she addressed the Emperor. It seems everyone discovered physician when has a lady he admires. They couldn't contain themselves and gathered here. The Emperor furrowed his brow. Whose daughter is she? Consort Rong smiled sweetly, her gaze fixed on Yunru. We don't know either, but Her Majesty the Empress arrived first. Since she saw it, she should speak up. With His Majesty here, we could simply grant them a marriage decree to pair them off. It would spare the young lady from gossip. Though I must say, that girl's voice does sound remarkable. Like Her Majesty the Empress. Hiding the truth only breeds suspicion. If she doesn't speak now, it will surely arouse His Majesty's distrust. Yunru's face flushed with panic. Her eyes darted around, searching for a way out. In my past life, she sought me out. It was my own fault for being blinded by sisterly affection. Unable to see the venom and scheming hidden in her eyes, Yunru's gaze suddenly settled on me, as if relieved. It was my elder sister who was with physician when atop the rockery. I merely failed to stop her wantonness. All eyes turned to me, filled with contempt and scorn. This Truly unexpected. The Empress's elder sister is such a person, daring to engage in such indecent acts in this place. I looked at her indifferently, a faint smile curving my lips. What are you saying? Little sister, before coming here, I was admiring the flowers with Consort Rong. Yunru's smile froze on her face. She opened her mouth. How could that be? I couldn't have heard wrong. Could it be that sister is shy? Raising an eyebrow, I smiled at Consort Rong. The consort can vouch for me. Correct. Indeed. Consort Rong replied. Just moments ago, she was admiring flowers with me. She arrived less than a quarter hour before this. How could she possibly have time for such matters? Has Her Majesty lost her mind? Though, I am curious, who is this lover of physician one that you would risk slandering your own sister to protect her? The Emperor furrowed his brow, a flicker of anger in his eyes. Who is it? Yunru's face flushed alternately red and white. She clutched her swollen belly with feigned fragility, leaning against the Emperor. I truly cannot recall. Just now, I thought that woman's voice sounded exactly like my sister's. So I spoke without thinking. Her gaze darted toward me, her eyes brimming with resentment. The Emperor lowered his eyes, watching her rounded belly, his expression softening. Enough, enough. Let's disperse. The crowd gradually thinned out, Yunru's expression growing increasingly grim. I lowered my eyes, my gaze resting on her belly, a faint smile playing on my lips. Yunru, you must bring this child into the world safely. Otherwise, how would I savor the sight of your death? Rose. When palace affairs are spread by those with ulterior motives, they inevitably ferment. The imperial physician secretly meeting with a lady-in-waiting. The imperial physician secretly meeting with a servant. The imperial physician secretly meeting with a concubine. A series of versions spread rough out the palace. As for Wen Yao, the whispers behind his back were inevitable. In my previous life, Yunru pinned that label on me. My reputation was ruined, and I bore the brunt of everyone's condemnation. All judgment converged on me. Both bear the Yun surname. Yet how could she be so loose and immoral, to do such things with a man in the palace before even marrying? She's nothing but a slut. What, not yet married? Clearly she's too old and unwanted. Those looks of rejection and disgust hidden beneath the whispered gossip are forever etched in my memory. Now, with the female protagonist absent from the story, people naturally turned their attention to the male lead. The tale spread from the palace to the streets, where vendors began peddling illustrated storybooks. The story of Wen Yao circulated again and again. I spent a fortune commissioning several tea houses to stage performances of these storybooks. Fueled by money, the tale became wildly popular overnight. At that moment, my father was flipping through books in his stud. Why? I knocked lightly. Enter. I smiled as I stepped inside, curtsying. Father, I hope I'm not disturbing you. He glanced at me, then sat down with his book, absorbed in his own world. In my previous life, when I fell into disgrace and became the target of public scorn, my father watched coldly. He only demanded I marry Wen Yao to spare him shame. Thankfully, he never favored me or Yunru over the off. Never truly loved any child. He simply treated whoever held more value with greater kindness. I heard the emperor will soon tour the provinces to observe the people's conditions. An incognito visit. My father frowned at me. Why are you inquiring about this? Several new tea houses have opened on Yong'an Street recently. The ambience is pleasant, and they're quite lively. I thought I could recommend them to His Majesty for relaxation. Father could mention it briefly in his memorial, then arrange for some staff to be stationed there. This way, it would show father cares both about the people and the sovereign all benefits. No drawbacks. So, very good. Approval granted. I curved my lips into a smile. Slowly withdrew. And closed the door. Then I shan't disturb you further. Father, when Yao sought me out, a single leaf-shaped boat drifted across the lake, creating a rather poetic scene, but with such a repulsive person seated beside me. I found no time to appreciate the scenery. My fingernails dug into my palms, when I realized I couldn't suppress my physical dread of Wen Yao. The hatred in my heart only grew stronger. In my past life, after marrying Wen Yao, he pretended to treat me with respect. Speaking of growing old together, yet behind closed doors, he continued his affair with Yun Ru. After her palace entry, Gu's failed and both she and her son perished. He used every means to torment me. Wen Yao excelled at both antidotes and poisons. At first, I was unaware the poison had been slipped into my food. My body merely itched. But soon, terrifying red rashes spread in dense clusters across my skin. Oh, zing blood incessantly, tears streaming down my face. I begged him for help. Instead, he laughed coldly, grabbed my hair, and slammed my head hard against the table. His eyes darkened with rage as he beat me. Venting his fury, I married you only to cover up my affair with Ruru. Why should she die while you live? You worthless woman. She's dead now, you'll join her. My thoughts snapped back. In this lifetime, I will make him suffer 1,000 cuts and 1,000,000 tortures. He shall endure 1,000 times the agony I endured. My gaze slowly lifted from the lake's surface as I sipped my tea. What might physician Wen require of me? Wen Yao glanced at me. Lips pressed together. Yunqi outside. Just call me Wen Yao. No need for such formality. I smiled at him. Better to keep things formal. Everyone knows physician Wen's reputation now. If I were to drop the formality, I'd just be that shameless woman. Early taking the fall for my own sister, better to play it safe. His smile froze. Clearly caught off guard by my bluntness. His expression couldn't hide his discomfort. Yunqi, you must have misunderstood. That day with Yunru, we were merely chatting idly, nothing more than that. As for her saying it was you, she was just trying to help me out. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, help. What kind of help requires such underhanded tactics? Wen Yao's face flushed alternately pale and crimson. A vein throbbed at his temple. He clearly felt I wasn't easily fooled. His embarrassment turning to anger, he forced himself to calm down and looked at me. I want to marry you. Yunqi. A cold laugh echoed in my heart. I feigned surprise. Covering my mouth. What does that mean? It means I want to marry you. I like you, Yunqi. That's why Yunru and I devised this plan. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. His acting was quite convincing, all nervousness and blushing as if the words were hard to utter. I just wonder how much composure this performance will retie. And before the emperor, I lowered my eyes. Feigning coyness and fluster, no need to guess he'd be wearing a smug, confident expression. Growing impatient, Wen Yao spoke again. Yunqi, what do you say? His eyes brimmed with encouragement and urgency. In both my past and present lives, I've become the most suitable shield for their schemes. I suppressed the hatred and indifference in my eyes, lifting my head with a smile. Wen Yao, matters like this aren't decided by mere words between us. Besides, this comes as such a sudden turn for me. Might I have more time to consider? Parents' will, matchmaker's words, or else leave a letter as proof of your sincerity, and I'll inform my father. Would that be acceptable? He stared at me for a long moment before drawing a jade pendant from his waist and handing it to me with impatient dismissiveness. Of course it is. Now. Consider it carefully. I entered the palace and made my way to Yunru's chambers. Her child was already 5 months along. Oh. So it's why sister who's arrived. She reclined lazily on the couch, attended by maids on either side. Her attire and comforts extravagant beyond measure. A mother's status rises with her child. Once Yunru's child was born, if it were a boy, her position in the harem would be unshakable. But what if T's child wasn't of royal blood? Spotting me, Yunru rose slowly, one hand cradling her swollen belly. My movements are restricted now, she said. I cannot properly welcome you. But what brings you here at this hour? Her eyes held a teasing malice. Sister, if I may speak frankly, at your age, delaying your marriage another 2 years risks the Cloud family becoming the subject of gossip and ridicule. I regarded her impassively. That's precisely why I comito consult you about the betrothal. Physician Wen mentioned that the incident in the palace last time was his scheme to propose to me, which is why he devised that plan with you. Her smile froze abruptly, panic flickering in her eyes. She reached out to grasp my hand, stroking it gently. Yes, Dr. Wen has long admired you, seeing how well-matched you are. I simply offered him a helping hand. Besides, you've long avoided seeking a husband. That day, I was helping you. If you're not grateful, do you actually hold a grudge against me? I withdrew my hand unobtrusively and smiled. Of course not. Dr. Wen truly is a suitable match. It's all thanks to your assistance that he found the courage to speak to me. Yunru's smile was impossible to hide. She likely felt that my marriage to Wen Yao was now secure. Sparing her the emperor's suspicion. I lowered my eyes to her rounded belly and reached out. 5 months along, isn't it? Yunru smiled smugly, her gaze filled with disdain and arrogance. Yes. In a few more months. Once this child is born, won't I be the one calling the shots in the harem? Her eyes shone with anticipation, as if she already envisioned herself as second only to the emperor, above all others. I nodded. Yes. All we need to do is wait for the child to be born. I took out a bundle and handed it to Yunru. These are little clothes I had made for the child. As the aunt, it's a small token of my goodwill. Yunru tugged at her lips, her eyes brimming with disdain. Yet, mindful of the recent discussion about Wen Yao's marriage, she reluctantly extended her hand. Then I thank you, sister. Neither of us felt like small talk. Yunru glanced at me, impatience flickering in her eyes. Sister, you know how sleepy I get with this pregnancy. I'm truly exhausted. I shan't keep you any longer. That suits me perfectly. I turned to leave. As I neared the palace gates, Yunru's curses reached my ears. What is this? Do you really think I'd want this trash? Dare to make baby clothes for my child? Get rid of it. A clatter followed as something hit the floor. I curved my lips into a smile. Yunru, my dear, your disdain is exactly what I wanted. In my past life, I made concession after concession for the sake of our bond. This time, it won't happen again. Cherish what little joy you have left. About 7 days passed. A grand banquet was held in the palace. Amber wine flowed, jade cups clinked. Dancers swept their sleeves as melodious strains of the qin filled the air. After 3 rounds of wine, the generals grew loose-lipped. Dr. Wen, we hear you met a lady in the palace. How was the experience? Ha 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 ha. It was truly exquisite. Wen Yao paled, his eyes flickering with alarm. The emperor set down his cup, his brows arching with subtle inquiry as he fixed his gaze on Wen Yao. his tone laced with playful teasing. Indeed, during my recent incognito inspection, I heard rumors about Physician Wen. Quite surprising. I must say, after all this time, I still wonder what sort of woman has captured Physician Wen's heart. Yunru, seated beside the emperor, clenched her chopsticks tightly at these words. Wen Yao offered an awkward smile. This servant does indeed favor that young lady. I only await her consent before formally requesting her hand in marriage. Yunru turned, smiling as she served food onto the emperor's plate. Your Majesty, please do not speak of this. Physician Wen has his own considerations. The emperor paused, turning to look at Yunru. Oh. The empress seems particularly protective of the woman Dr. Wen favors. Now, I'm curious myself. Yunru's smile froze, fine beads of sweat forming on her forehead. I cradled the cat in my arms, gently stroking its fur, then lightly brushed the pill against its nose. Wen Yao hesitated, and abruptly stood up, interrupting Yunru and the emperor's conversation and drawing their attention to himself. Your Majesty, I have something to present to you. The show was about to begin. I held the cat tighter, patiently coaxing it with soft words. This item is an elixir brewed from a 1,000-year-old snow lotus. Exceptionally rare and difficult to find, it possesses the power to extend one's life span and youth. And I hereby present it to your Majesty. Wen Yao knelt on the ground, holding the item high with both hands, not daring to lift his gaze to meet the emperor's expression. The emperor hadn't yet called for someone to take it. I released my grip. The cat instantly broke free. Let out a meow, and darted toward Wen Yao, aiming straight for the elixir in his hands. One pill tumbled to the floor. Silence fell over the room. Wen Yao snapped his head up. Where did this stray cat come from? I rose to my feet, feigning utter terror as I knelt. Your Majesty, forgive this servant's daughter. This is my cat, not some stray. It merely has a keen sense of smell, especially for potent elixirs. The emperor's expression shifted slightly as he glanced at the fallen pill. I crouched down cautiously to pick it up, apologizing profusely. This pill is unfortunately no longer fit to be presented to your Majesty. I gently wiped the pill in my hand, my eyes gleaming with longing. It would be such a waste to discard it. I've never seen one like this before. Might I be permitted to taste it? The emperor nodded. After swallowing the pill, I withdrew, cradling the cat amidst the slightly mocking gazes of the crowd. About a quarter of an hour passed. The banquet was in full swing. I counted the minutes. My throat grew scorching hot. My blood seemed to boil. Nerves taut with dense ache. Then suddenly, I coughed up a mouthful of blood, clutching the clothing of those beside me. My expression twisted in agony. What is happening? Someone, call the imperial physician. The music and dancing stopped once more, as if summoning every ounce of strength. I slowly pointed, under everyone's gaze, toward the box holding the pills beside the emperor. The elixir. It was that elixir. The agony was unbearable. Just before closing my eyes, I saw Wen Yao and Yunru's deathly pale faces. In my ears rang Wen Yao's shouts as he knelt on the ground. Your Majesty, see clearly. Nothing was added to those pills. Wen Yao, setting aside his role as imperial physician, was also the eldest son of Grand Tutor Wen. Grand Tutor Wen was a veteran minister, though his position was awkward. Before the current emperor ascended the throne, the Wen family had always sided with the then crown prince. The present emperor was merely the third son born to a concubine. After the previous emperor's death, he murdered his own brother to seize the throne. Yet he did not exterminate these ministers. Having secured the position of heir was only natural. He did not wish to lose truly capable ministers over it. Grand Tutor Wen, fully aware of his position, served the emperor with utmost dedication to demonstrate his loyalty. He did not introduce his son into officialdom, allowing him to serve only as a renowned imperial physician. Thus, 1. Yao's actions were seemingly insignificant yet profoundly significant. This single act plunged the Wen family into dire peril. Other physicians were summoned to the palace for diagnosis. The remaining 2 pills were indeed poisoned. When Yao was imprisoned that very night, at that time, I in a secluded chamber within the palace. One who had shielded the emperor from poison naturally remained within the palace walls. I idly stroked my cat, lightly ruffling its fur. When Yao's elixir truly contained no poisonous substances. In my previous life, the Wen family, seeking to demonstrate their political allegiance, specifical, had Wen Yao present these pills to the emperor at this banquet. He had painstakingly selected these particular pills, purchased at great expense from another party in my past life. This time, however, they had come into my possession earlier. I had added something to them and then sold them to him through another person. The substance was colorless and odorless, yet it reacted violently with the musk I'd rubbed onto the cat's fur beforehand, creating a poison that caused excruciating abdominal pain. Moreover, the cat had been trained by me to be exceptionally sensitive to snow lotus. Thus, no matter how other imperial physicians investigated, the pill's toxicity was an indisputable fact. As for this method, it was developed by Wen Yao to torment me after Yunru's death in my previous life. Back then, the dosage was 10 times stronger than this. I writhed on the floor, in agony. Yet he stomped on my abdomen, crushing me mercilessly, forcing me to endure unimaginable torment. Now, I'm returning the favor. Wen Yao. This is only the beginning. Yunru stormed into my chambers, her aura fierce. You bitch Yunxi, get out here. I lifted my gaze to see her, her pregnant belly protruding, eyes wide with fury, charging straight toward my bed. She yanked my collar. You framed him, didn't you? You deliberately set him up. Do you know he's being tortured in prison right now? I let her tug at me, tilting my head back with a smile. Sister. When Yao's in trouble, why the sudden urgency? I propped myself up on the bed. Could it be? You and he have some secret affair. She instinctively released her grip and stumbled back. What nonsense are you spouting? I stood up to meet her gaze, my voice cold. Then why did you rush over here in such a panic? Besides, I'm still recovering from poisoning. I haven't even had time to feel resentful. And you're already accusing me, even if I did frame him. What proof do you have? Her eyes widened. I knew it was you. I knew it was you. Her hand shot out to slap me. You should have died in that ice cave that winter. Hearing this, I caught her hand and struck back with all my strength. The sharp crack echoed loudly, and the sensation felt strangely satisfying. If I hadn't been trying to save you, why would I have fallen into that ice cave? Truthfully, when we were very young, Yunru was the neglected second daughter in the Yun household. She was always thin and dark-skinned, full of worries, quiet and withdrawn. Compared to me, who seemed dignified and proper, people naturally favored me more. Back then, desperate for attention, she ventured deep into the mountains. It was the dead of winter, and she was chased by a snow wolf into a ravine, trying to save her. I stumbled and fell into an ice cave. Only after the household sent men to search for us was I finally rescued. I remember only the look in her eyes as I fell. Fell into that ice cave. Numbness, coldness, resentment. But I deceived myself. Until I utterly destroyed myself in my previous life. She stared at me in disbelief. You dare strike me? You worthless woman. I yanked her collar hard, stumbling her, and sneered coldly. Want to fight back? Do you think the Emperor will question why we fought? Do you think the man who murdered his own kin to seize the throne can tolerate you consorting with another man? By then, how much of your so-called affection will remain? Her body stiffened, her expression freezing for an instant before she violently shoved me away. Yun Shi. You'd better pray you never fall into my hands. I clapped my hands and curved my lips. Of course, you'd better pray for the same. Perhaps it might truly lessen your suffering afterward. When Yao remained imprisoned for 3 full months, the entire Wen family repeatedly declared they harbored no treasonous intentions. And Grand Tutor W. and even removed his official cap as a sign of his resolve. The Emperor wouldn't believe Wen Yao foolish enough to attempt assassination in his presence. Yet, someone had deliberately delivered Wen Yao to him for punishment clearly. Wen Yao had offended someone behind the scenes. The Emperor had always disdained Wen Yao's insincere demeanor. Seizing this opportunity to mete out a minor punishment served both to demonstrate imperial authority and to satisfy his own displeasure. Exactly 1 month remained until Yunru's due date. I sat by the window, warming my hands by the brazier. What? Ching, the winter plum blossoms dotted with snow. Miss. Consort Rong has arrived. I turned to see Rong Ying gliding toward me. She smiled at me. Yun Shi. How have you considered the proposal we discussed earlier? Rong Ying hated Yunru with a venom that ran deep. Before Yunru became empress, Rong Yin's child had died by her hand, poisoned by the musk that hung daily on her bead necklace. Thus, she would stop at nothing to kill Yunru's child. If she couldn't cause a miscarriage during pregnancy, then her child would be born dead. This proposal was unlikely to succeed. Consort Rong's face darkened instantly, her tone turning icy. Do you still cling to some sisterly affection between you? Have you not heard the palace rumors? The drowned corpse in the well, the concubine hanged at the gate, all those innocent lives cut short. Every single one was her doing. I looked up at her. Your Highness, please do not be hasty. What I meant was, I have another method. Rong Ying paused, her eyes suddenly brightening as she met mine. Winter month. The cold wind howled, yet the palace buzzed with unusual activity. Word spread that the Empress had given birth to a legitimate son. The Emperor, overjoyed, granted special pardons and rewards to many. Wen Yao was also released from prison. Truly worthy of being my son, what a loud cry. The Emperor cradled the infant, his gaze lowered, eyes brimming with gentle, benevolent warmth. The midwife chuckled, adding, though the child does seem to resemble Her Majesty the Empress more. Yunru lay in bed, instinctively clutching the sheets, forcing a weak, evasive smile. Standing NE.RB. I chimed in joyfully. Indeed. The child's eyes and brows bear a striking resemblance to my sister. Yunru glared at me fiercely from her bed. Had she not been so weak, she would surely have lunged at me to strike. The scene was almost comical. Here was a woman who should have radiated maternal warmth, yet her gaze remained as venomous and foul as ever. The Emperor glanced at the child, then at Yunru. The smile on his lips suddenly faded. He remarked to himself, is that so? Indeed. Your Majesty, the child resembles me more. They say sons take after their mothers. I nodded at her. When the child grows older, the resemblance will become even clearer. Yunru nearly choked on her anger. After Yunru gave birth, the Emperor's visits to the imperial bedchamber dwindled significantly. He now spent most nights in Rongin's chambers. In the end, it all boiled down to that one pleasure. A body that had borne a child could no longer satisfy the emperor, the supreme ruler, that wretched Rongin, even if she could keep the emperor. So what? I am the mother of the crown prince, soon to be the empress dowager, second only to the emperor himself. Her resentment boiled over, having been apart from Wen Yao for so long. She naturally couldn't contain herself. I only needed Rongin to cling to the emperor daily. Constantly moving about the palace, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the sparrow behind. The day of their encounter would inevitably come. By then, I would have returned to my residence, received the letter sent by Consort Rong. Jinju scurried to my side, breathless with urgency. Miss, the Empress has been discovered having an affair with Physician Wen. They're about to arrest her. I rose with a smile, instructing Jinju, pack our things. We'll be staying in the palace for a while longer. Time to watch the show. When Yao and Yunru were meeting secretly near the palace walls, Consort Rong and the emperor were dressed as commoners, about to leave the palace for a stroll. They didn't arouse suspicion. Rumor has it the emperor caught them hand in hand, lost in passionate confidences. When I arrived at the palace, Consort Rong beckoned me to her side to watch the spectacle. Yunru and Wen Yao knelt on the ground. Both wore expressions of panic and dread. It was the fear of death. The emperor's majesty could never be violated. His face cold, he regarded the two on the ground as if they were mere ants. Yunru lifted her head, her eyes brimming with tears. Your Majesty, I truly did not. I merely happened upon Physician Wen. I am frail. And he was only taking my pulse. I nearly burst out laughing. Wen Yao also knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowing until his forehead turned purple and began to bleed. Your Majesty, please see clearly. This servant merely happened upon Her Majesty the Empress, hearing she had just given birth to a prince and was weakened. I took her pulse. How could I dare covet anyone belonging to Your Majesty? I lowered my gaze to Wen Yao's eyes. At this moment, all traces of affection seemed to vanish from both their eyes as they desperately tried to distance themselves from any connection. In my past life, Wen Yao tormented me, and I only thought he loved Yunru with a deep, maddening passion. But upon reflection, if his love were truly profound, why would he not openly declare it to the world, accept fate, and instead seek an innocent shield? Their so-called love was laced with scheming and the thrill of testing boundaries of filthy, revolting charade masquerading as affection. Wen Yao, kneeling on the ground, suddenly snapped his head up as if struck by a thought. Yes. The one I love is Yun Shi. I love Yunru's elder sister. She was the woman in the back garden last time. Your Majesty, ask Minister Yun if you don't believe me. I swear by this token I must marry Yun Shi. Right. Yun Shi. He turned to look at me, his eyes burning with such desperate longing for life, as if I were the very master of his existence. Suddenly, memories of my past life flooded back, bleeding from 7 orifices. Near death, I still clung to life. Kneeling on the ground, I kept banging my head. Husband, no. Wen Yao, I beg you spare me. I truly did nothing wrong. I never harmed Yunru. Yet he gripped my jaw and forced the poison down my throat. Since you have so much to say, it's best to silence you with poison. My thoughts drifted away. I lowered my eyes and looked at him indifferently. Physician Wen, what are you talking about? I've never heard of such a thing. Perhaps you've grown senile. He froze instantly, his face turning deathly pale. His expression twisted horribly as he screamed hoarsely. You vile woman. You promised me. You treacherous bitch. Kicking me when I'm down. The emperor's expression remained impassive as he raised a hand. Gag him. Drag him away. Execute him tomorrow. When Yao's face drained of color in an instant, guards held him down tightly as he struggled desperately. A trickle of liquid flowed down between his legs. Yunru's face drained of color. She scrambled to the emperor's feet, tilting her head up to meet his gaze. Tears welled in her eyes as she clutched desperately at his trouser hem. Your Majesty, Your Majesty, I'll tell you everything. It was Physician Wen. Physician Wen has been pursuing me relentlessly. He's the one who's infatuated with me. When Yao stiffened and turned to look at her, instantly, his eyes blazed with savage hatred. I never wanted to see him. But his medical skills are extraordinary. I feared he might harm me, harm our child. Your Majesty, Your Majesty, this servant knows she was wrong. Our child cannot be without its mother. Your Majesty. The emperor kicked Yunru aside with one foot. Yet I caught a flicker of emotion in his eyes. I exchanged a glance with Rongyin. A bright smile blossomed on her face. Your Majesty. Mere words hold no weight. We must find evidence. Why not search the Empress and Physician Wen? Or the bedchamber? For any physical proof. If found, their deaths would be well deserved. Yunru snapped her head up, strands of hair clinging to her face in disarray. A wild, vicious grin twisted her lips. Search. Go ahead and search. Let's see what you find. Yunru had every reason to speak with such confidence. In her previous life, had she not failed in her palace intrigues, the emperor likely would never have discovered her affair, even in death. But, Yunru, you schemed against others day after day. Did it never occur to you that someone might scheme against you? Not long after, several guards rushed in breathlessly. Your Majesty. We found this item in Her Majesty the Empress's chambers. It's a child's garment, with a jade pendant inside, engraved with the character Yao. This child. Also, the entire hall fell silent. Everyone trembled. Too afraid to speak, Yunru stared wide-eyed at the garment, then turned to me with sudden realization. It was you. You vile woman. Why did you frame me? Your Majesty. These are not mine. She gave them to me. She framed me. I know Yunru perhaps better than she knows herself. Anything she didn't want, she'd hand off to the servants to dispose of. Back in her mansion, her maidservants fawned over her, acting without restraint. But things are different in the palace. The maids would handle things, but never dispose of them completely. They'd simply stash them away in some corner of the bedchamber or side hall, waiting for their mistress to rediscover them on a whim. That way, they wouldn't lose their heads when the blame fell on someone else. I stared straight at her, just as she had stared at me and I fell into that ice cave long ago. Sister. At this point, you'd be better off confessing your mistake early. The emperor might still spare you a proper burial out of consideration for the past. The guard by my ear continued. Anne. There was also a paper effigy with pins stuck in it. W.R. Itten on it. Zhao Chunli. Zhao Chunli. The name of consort Rong's deceased child. Yunru's pupils contracted. She turned to Rongyin. You two vile women. Your Majesty. Your Majesty. They framed me. Yunshi has envied me since childhood. Rongyin resents me even more because I can bear children they conspired against me. Smack. The sharp sound silenced everyone. Yunru turned her face, revealing a distinctly red and swollen handprint on her fair skin. The emperor roared with fury. Wicked woman. You still dare to argue now? How dare you mix that bastard into my imperial bloodline? Guards. Drag both of them to the dungeons. Behead them tomorrow. That night, I slipped some silver to the guards and entered the dungeon. The putrid, filthy stench instantly filled my nostrils. It was unbearable. Before I even stepped inside, I heard the dull thud of fists striking flesh, accompanied by a man's curses. How dare you push me out? Forgot who helped you rise to power, who helped you poison so many people. You worthless bitch. I'll beat you to death tonight. I'd heard it too many times in my past life. Too familiar. Yunru let out a shrill, choking cry, her hands clawing at the bars. Someone, help, help me. Wearing my hood, I walked slowly over, hearing Yunru's voice, almost choked with joy. She reached out and tugged at the hem of my skirt. Save me, miss. Please save me. I'm the Empress. Please deliver a few words to the Emperor for me. I lowered my eyes and removed the hood from my cloak. Sister, you've got the wrong person. I'm not here to help you. Yunru's expression froze, replaced by a torrent of hatred. When Yao stopped beating the prisoner, he fixed me with a deathly stare, like a rat clinging to life in a sewer, advancing step by step toward me. His face dark and foreboding. It was you. That elixir was your doing too, wasn't it? Once I'm out of here, I'll make you wish you were dead. Ha, ha ha ha. I couldn't help but laugh aloud, my eyes crinkling with amusement. Your father lost his official hat. Now you're just a court physician. How exactly do you plan to make me suffer worse than death after escaping this prison? Instead of wasting time on threats, why not think about how to die more pleasantly tomorrow? Wouldn't that be better? When Yao gasped for breath, his eyes blazing with fury as he seemed to break completely, his chains rattled loudly as he strode toward me. Bitch. Bitch. Your entire Yin family are bitches. I watched them both clutching the bars, trying to pull me over to beat me senseless. I spoke calmly, laced with mockery. What have I done? I merely helped you carry out what you yourselves had planned. You can use someone else's life as a shield for your adulterous affair, but you can't bear to face life and death together. Is this what you call love? You deserve every bit of this. I simply couldn't stand the rotten, foul stench of that prison cell. I took a step back, slowly turned, and curved my lips. On the road to the underworld, let us keep each other company. People like you deserve to be together even in death. When Yao and Yinru met, a gruesome end, beheaded and displayed. Their heads hung upon the city gates. They say blood still dripped from them that day, causing many palace attendants to faint in terror. Around that time, Rongyin invited me for a boat ride. Resting her chin in her hand, she seemed unusually relaxed. Still. Thank you. I've wanted her gone for ages but never found a way. I glanced at her, then back at the lake scenery. No need to thank me. It was bound to happen sooner or later. In my past life, Yunru died in palace intrigue, killed by Rongyin when she had grown powerful. I merely used her own method earlier. If anything, she actually helped me. She looked at me in surprise. Honestly, I never expected you to help me. I thought you'd be on Yunru's side. I pressed my lips together and sipped the hot wine. At 8. She stood by as I fell into an ice cave. At 10. She set snakes upon me. At 12. She shot through my shoulder under the guise of archery practice. At 13. She pushed me from a carriage with a playful tone. At 15. She used my choreography to enter the palace. And just recently, she framed me for her affair with Wen Yao. Rongyin stared, speechless. It's truly remarkable you endured this long. Endured. I've endured my entire life. Let's not speak of this anymore. She smiled at me, What are your plans now? There are several respectable families in the western part of the city. I can help you find a suitable match. I won't let you come up short. Holding the warm wine. I curved my lips. I seek no husband. I journey south. Having lived this long, I must see the world, to traverse mountains and rivers, to witness the world's vibrant life. My past life was ruined. This life, I must find my true self. Her eyes brightened. Remember to write. The boat gradually approached the shore. The dawn sky, like burning clouds, cast a hazy crimson glow. I nodded with a smile. Removing the plum blossom jade bracelet from my wrist and placing it on the table. This holds the plum blossoms of Cold Mountain. It's yours, Ma. Why we both be like winter plum blossoms blooming even in the bitter cold. The end.